Right, so last two videos I looked at lithium ion 18650 batteries and how they can be a good substitute for lead acid. And I briefly went into the voltages and charging profiles and a couple of safety considerations. So let's actually look at assembling the battery pack now. So if I switch you onto my other camera down here, so you can see here, you get these plastic holders for them off of, I got these off of a well-known online auction site, and they're dirt cheap. So this one is, I've got 3 cells in series, which gives me my voltage, give or take 12 volts, and I've got 5 in parallel. So each of these batteries is rated at 2.5 amps. Officially, there might be a tiny bit less because they're second-hand, but they are used, they're recycled. So if we work out the capacity of the battery, so 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, and another 2.5, about 12.5 ampere hours theoretically, this battery. And we can actually test that. We could put it on the charger and actually discharge it and test it when I've built it. But I don't think it'll be quite that. I'd expect it to be around 8-9 ampere hours, something like that. So one thing I've done with these, which I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, if I hold it up for the camera, so you can see around this blob of solder on the end, I've just roughed it up a little bit with a bit of sandpaper, so you can see the marks where I've roughed it up on the base there. I've done that on both sides of the battery. That just gives you something to solder to, like a keyway, makes it a bit easier with soldering. And then I've just put a blob of solder on each battery, both the top and bottom, ready for when I come to connect it all up. And then the other problem is you'll notice the batteries are loose in here, and this can actually lift off. So what I've done, I've already done it on these ones. I've glued just the corner batteries, put a bit of glue in on the battery just to hold the batteries like that, and I've done the same, or I will do the same on the other end as well. So I'll do the same for each battery in each corner, top and bottom, just to hold the thing together. It's only really a temporary measure whilst I'm working on it. So I'll stop the video there. I'll go around and glue it, because you don't want to see me with a glue gun. It'll get quite boring. So I'll go around and glue that together, and then I'll start the video again in a minute. Okay, so you can see I've just put a bit of glue on each of the 4 batteries on the corner there. I've done that on the top and on the bottom of the battery pack. It's only a temporary measure. Once I tape the battery pack up permanently, so once you end up with this where it's taped up permanently, this tape will hold it together. So this glue is only really temporary, just to hold it together whilst I'm working on it. So now that we've got the basic pack assembled, what we need to do is hook it all up. So you've got your battery balance lead, which has in our case 4 leads coming out of it. So I need one connection on the negative terminal of the battery there, one on the positive down there, and these blue and yellow ones go where these batteries are joined together. So I'll have a join between these 2 rows of batteries, and same between these 2 rows of batteries on the bottom. So you connect those like that, and it just balances the voltage out with the charger. So the way I do this is I've already made up a couple of these. I need to make a couple more. Basically what I like to call bus bars. So that you got these convenient little holes in here, so they literally just connect up like that. So this will be the negative one, and all my batteries negatives will connect onto there using fuse wire. So if anything does go wrong and it does start to go into runaway, hopefully the fuse wire will melt. And then I've got another one which go on there. Now I'm going to put all my connections at this end of the battery. So this is just a normal household mains wire. Any DIY store I've stripped the sheath off out here, the insulation, but I've left the insulation on down here because I want to run these wires down the battery pack to connect up my wires here, and obviously I don't want those shorting out. So I've done 2 on this side on the top of the battery pack. I need to do 2 for this side, and then I'll have all my connection points here. And what I'll probably do is just put a little bit of electrical tape on, which you can never find the end on these reels of tape, can you? There we go. Right, so a bit of electrical tape. I'm just going to wrap that. Sorry, I know my hand's in the way of the camera. I'm just trying to hold on to the thing as I do this. I'm just going to wrap that around the battery a couple of times, just to, literally the sole purpose or intention of this is to hold these wires in place, stop them coming off. And sorry, I know this is out of camera shot. Right, so there you go. I've got my 2 bus bars on the bottom, and you can also just get the glue gun, and it won't hurt it, just to glue it in place. And let's get another stick of glue. I really thought this out before filming this. Does it show? Right, there we go. So glue that there. Nice bit of glue in that one and in that hole there. So I've just filled these holes up with glue just to hold the thing in place. I'll do the same on this one, and the tape should hold it anyway. So that in there. The only problem with these glue guns is it gets a bit kind of messy, but that's okay. It won't matter once the battery's complete and wrapped up. There we go. So I'll just give that a bit of time for the glue to dry before I try and turn it over and do the same on the other side. And then once I've done that, I can start soldering my connection on there. And I've got I'm going to take these crocodile clips. This is an old battery lead with a fuse in there. I'm going to take the clips off, so I'll literally just snip them off. I'm going to use this as my battery lead, so I'll solder the negative onto there, and I'll have my positive battery bus will run up there, same as this, and I'll solder it onto there, and then I'll tape all of these up properly so they don't short out, and obviously that will go on as well for the battery balance. So I'll do that, and then I'll start the video again and show you what I've done. Right, so hopefully you can start to see what's going on here. I've done one side, so I've got my bus bars across the top, so that's my, that one is all, as well as being connection for the balance charging, is also my negative connection, and that one is just for the balance charging. So I've got my 2 bus bars coming along there, connected up to my like I say, my negative for my connection there, and also got the black cable for the balance charger there, and then same for the blue one. Now you notice I'm connecting all these wires, I'm soldering all these wires up before I've connected the bus bars to the battery. There is a very good reason for that, and that is I don't want it to short out and blow up on me, so I'd rather connect the bus bars up to the battery connections first and then wire the bus bars to the batteries afterwards. So I'll show you how I do that in a minute. So next step, I've done that side of the battery. I've just got to do this side of the battery now. So I've got my positive battery connections go on there, so I've got to make another bus bar to go across there, and also need another bus bar to go across this gap here where my finger is for the yellow connection. So that will connect there, and then that red wire will connect onto the positive of the battery. So the balance charger has 4 connections, and it'll be able to balance out all of the cells together as it charges. So if I turn the battery that way round, if you're wondering how I make up my bus bars, I'll show you how I do the positive ones. So pair of thin nose pliers, and like I say, earth the mains wire from a DIY store. And literally what I'm doing here is there's a hole there that fits quite nicely into. Then I want to bend it. I know my hand's in the way there. Oops. So I want to bend it so that I can poke it down into that hole there. So if I grab it with the pliers, and literally I'm just going to put a nice sharp bend in it like that, and then bend it back on itself. So there you go, I've got a nice, if you can see that on camera, notch where it goes in there, and I've got a nice bend in the wire where it goes in there. And then next, hold down. Oops. So it'll need to be round about there. I'm trying to do this so you can see it on camera, and it's not as easy as you might think. So there you go, nice sharp bend in there. And test fit it. There you go. Oops. Popped out on me. So there you go. And I've got 2 more holes left to do there. And I'm going to do the same for those 2 holes, and the same for the balance connection, which is going across this row here between these 2 batteries here. So that's how I make up my bus bars. Right, so I've put the extra 2 bus bars on the top of the battery now. I've connected all my leads up down here, and as I say, I connect all these up before connecting the battery cells to the bus bar, for the very deliberate reason I don't want anything to short out, because that's when things go really badly wrong with the lithium, when you short out the battery. So got my bus bars on, all connected up, and obviously that's battery connection to my radio or whatever I'm trying to power, and that's my balance charging lead. This actually doesn't do anything, it's not connected to anything whilst the battery's in use, it's only used for charging, and I'll show you that later. So in terms of what I use to actually connect up the battery cells, I use this, and if I hold it up to the other camera so you might be able to see it a bit better, this very, very fine wire comes on a reel like that. It's fuse wire, so it melts if you put too much current across it. So if anything shorts out on that battery, then hopefully this fuse wire will melt before the battery pack does. Now, I don't ever recommend deliberately shorting out a battery, but just for demonstration purposes, Here you go, is that in focus? Just tweak the focus slightly. Yep. So I've got a bit of a, it's probably difficult to see on the camera, but I've got a little bit of fuse wire there, and I'm literally going to short it out, and you'll see it'll just spark and basically disappear or break. So that's the idea. So I'm going to connect onto the battery bus bar and onto the terminal of each battery with a little piece of this wire. And like I say, the idea is if anything shorts out or you get too much current flowing in the battery, then hopefully this wire will go before the battery catches fire. So that's the idea. Okay, so I've got my soldering iron warmed up, nice and warm, and a bit of fuse wire, being very careful what I touch with it. I don't want to short anything out. Now, you don't want to put too much heat on these batteries for too long, otherwise you'll risk damaging them. So I'm literally just until it melts, and that's it, the minimum amount of time and heat possible. Then I turn the wire back on itself, poke it back through the back through the bus bar like that, just so it does a loop. Then a little bit of solder on the bus bar. Now on these batteries here, you need to connect those two terminals together, because you think about the circuit here, that's your plus terminal to the negative plus terminal there connected to the plus terminal of the battery, through the battery to negative to positive on these batteries, back up, then you got your negative to positive on these batteries, then down to negative down there, if that makes sense. So right, so it's going to be very difficult to see on camera, but I have soldered it all up. I don't know if you can see my bits of fuse wire there, really thin, done both top and on the bottom as well. I know it's stupidly obvious, but I have actually seen someone do this. Make sure you got a desktop that's non-conductive when you're doing this. Do not try and do it on the metal desktop, whatever you do. I know it sounds stupid, but I have actually seen someone do that. So the final thing is to wrap it all up, just to protect it whilst you're carrying it. These few bits of fuse wire are quite delicate and fragile, so you don't want them breaking. And you don't want anything touching that and shorting whilst you're carrying it in your bag either. So that's why I've wrapped the whole battery pack in electrical tape. And sometimes you get slightly sharp bits on, like there's a bit where I've soldered it, it's a tiny bit sharp. So what I do is I get an old bit of cardboard, and I just cover it over, tape old bit of cardboard over there to protect it a bit. And this is just it had an old wireless mouse in it, which I bought a while back. So literally I've just cut it out so it fits over the top there. One for the top, one for the bottom. I'll just get some electrical tape and wrap it up to protect it, and maybe a bit of white gaffer tape on there as well, like I did with this one. Just wrap it up really well, just to make sure it's well protected, and then we can move on to testing. Right, so we're all taped up, and I've really gone to town with the electrical tape and the gaffer tape as well. Now, if you're wondering what my logic is for using white tape, it's probably a bit overzealous, but I use these outside in what can be bright sunlight, where basically black absorbs the heat and white reflects it. I don't like the idea of these batteries getting too hot. That's probably a bit overzealous, but that's why I use white as opposed to black. So there you go, completed article. Next thing to do is hook it up to my charger, and what I'll do is probably the next video, because this one's getting quite long, I'll charge it up to maximum capacity and then discharge it, and we'll test the capacity on it. That'll be the next video.